been able to wear down the shot price for Vormir, entering the last half a furlong in the hands of brother Donica to record a second career victory. This Dorsal Star Spangled Banner was a winner at the Curran, her penultimate outing over the 6 furlong trip, and has been able to concede £10 to the shot price favourite Vormir, who was bidding to follow up his victory just 5 days ago in similar company at Nace, but it wasn't to be, and Borelli has stayed on behind that pair to claim third. We're heading back to Fairyhouse in due course for race 2. We continue with the Dandyman Maiden. 7 furlongs a trip, generate 3.35 for 3-year-olds plus. Going with that was 17 Royal Canford, and the reserves 19 and 21. Leaving a field of 18 runners, and Time Tunnel is the shot price favourite at 5-4 for Dermot Weld and Chris Hayes, having had 5 previous starts, and has also finished runner-up on 3 of those occasions, with an official rating of 76. Looks very much the one to beat here for running up to that mark. It's in a 3-1 then for Blue Boots, who's like the race, having had just 2 previous starts, and is open to plenty of improvement. A 4-1 then for Myth Creation, and it's 6-1 for Fujairah King. 11-1 and upwards by those. Rejoin us for live commentary at 3:35. Fairyhouse at 3 o'clock. First number 2, Crystallism, 2-1. Second number 10, Vormir, 11-10 favourite. Third number 6, Borelli, 10-1. All 10 ran. First of 8 races in the card this afternoon. Fairyhouse was a claiming event, and victory went the way of the Joseph O'Brien trained Crystallism, who's been able to wear down the shot price for Vormir, entering the last half a furlong in the hands of brother Donica to record a second career victory. This Dorsal Star Spangled Banner was a winner at the Curran, her penultimate outing over the 6 furlong trip, and has been able to concede £10 to the shot price favourite Vormir, who was bidding to follow up his victory just 5 days ago in similar company at Nace, but it wasn't to be, and Borelli has stayed on behind that pair to claim third. We're heading back to Fairyhouse in due course for race 2. We continue with the Dandyman Maiden. 7 furlongs a trip, generate 3.35 for 3-year-olds plus. Going with that was 17 Royal Canford, and the reserves 19 and 21. Leaving a field of 18 runners, and Time Tunnel is the shot price favourite at 5-4 for Dermot Weld and Chris Hayes, having had 5 previous starts, and has also finished runner-up on 3 of those occasions. With an official rating of 76. Looks very much the one to beat here for running up to that mark. It's in a 3-1 then for Blue Boots, who's like the race, having had just 2 previous starts, and is open to plenty of improvement. A 4-1 then for Myth Creation, and it's 6-1 for Fujairah King. 11-1 and upwards by those. Rejoin us for live commentary at 3:35. Fairyhouse at 3 o'clock. First number 2, Crystallism, 2-1. Second number 10, Vormir, 11-10 favourite. Third number 6, Borelli, 10-1. All 10 ran. First of 8 races in the card this afternoon. Fairyhouse was a claiming event, and victory went the way of the Joseph O'Brien trained Crystallism, who's been able to wear down the shot price for Vormir, entering the last half a furlong in the hands of brother Donica to record a second career victory. This Dorsal Star Spangled Banner was a winner at the Curran, her penultimate outing over the 6 furlong trip, and has been able to concede. And welcome back then as we go live once again then to Fairyhouse. Runners are down at the start then for race 2, the 3:35, the Dandyman Maiden. Going without number 17, the reserves at 19 and 21. We're just in the field to 18 runners for this heat. Let's take a check on Lisa's betting, and Time Tunnel has had 5 previous starts, finishing runner-up on 3 occasions. Is the 2-1 easy to back favourite, drifting out from a very early show of 5-4. It's an official rating of 76, so sets a fair standard. Is well drawn from stall 3, this Dorsal Invincible Spirit, and she gets the £5 fillies allowance as well. So plenty in her favour here, you'd imagine, but as I say, proving very weak in the market, dropping back to 7 furlongs, having contested a 1 mile maiden at Killarney when last seen out in action, but should have the pace to cope with this slight drop in trip. Support comes in for Bluewood, trained by John Feen, Ronald Whelan on board, and is now joined Time Tunnel at the top of the market, that pair trading at 2-1, but plenty of confidence behind Bluewood. Son of Requinto has had a couple of starts to date, finishing 5th of 14 on debut at Leopardstown back in May, and had a break before returning at Listowel, finishing 4th of 15 in a 7 furlong soft ground maiden on that particular occasion. May well strip fitter for that run, but will probably need to improve a little bit to lower the colours of Time Tunnel. I'm quite surprised that there's been such support for Bluewood, but Having said that, the Son of Requinto, I think just the 2 previous starts, has opened to a bit of improvement. Time Tunnel rated 76, drifting out to 9-4. We'll shortly find out if that's a bit of value or not, because the last half a dozen or so are waiting to go forward into the stalls. And of course the other one to strongly consider is Fujira King, who's having a first start for Trainer Michael O'Callaghan. Lee Roach takes the mouse on board this Son of Kitten's Joy. He's been gelded since his last run to Yarmouth, which was back in April time, and has switched stables from Roger Variant. So an interesting contender here, 5-2, 8-1, and upwards bar the front 3 in the market as the last 4 or 5 prepare to go forward into the starting stalls then as a Fairy House for this 7 furlong maiden. Time Tunnel, the market leader here, well, was the market leader early on, but now deposed at top of the market by the twice raced Bluewood as the runners continue to file forward into the gates. So 2-1 then for Bluewood. Could support the market seen for this 3-year-old Son of Requinto. And it's 9-4 for Time Tunnel, who's finished runner-up in 3 of his 5 starts, putting up his best performance on his 3rd outing to Killarney over the 1 mile trip in mid-July, beating a half-length behind Turin Shaman on that particular occasion. Hasn't quite matched that form in 2 place runs subsequently at Galway at the festival meeting and at Killarney last time, but still nonetheless sets a fair standard on that mark of 76. If he can reproduce that assessment, he'll probably prove hard to beat here, but it's a concern that he's proving very weak in the market as the last couple of runners prepare to go forward into the gates. Bluewood 2-1, Time Tunnel 9-4 chance here for Fujira King. Very interesting contender here on his first start for Trainer Michael O'Callaghan, having been gelded since his last outing, which was back in April for Trainer Roger Varian, having been sold for 38,000 at the Tattersalls July Horses and Training Sales. And it's then 8-1 and upwards by the front 3. Now it looks as if the last couple are moving forward. So we're just about all set. Here's the starter, which is the top of his rostrum.
This event is now in play.
We're just about all set here. So the last one prepares to move forward. To a little bit restless in the gates, but they're off and racing. Let's rejoin Jerry Hannon for the call.
The break and this Dandy Man maiden over 7 furlongs, and the first to show is Fujira.